Another virtual town hall meeting for Brookline businesses and nonprofits. I'm Raul Fernandez, Select Board Member and Chair of the Small Business Development Committee, joined by our able committee and staff, many of whom you'll hear from today. It is our meeting for Thursday, November 5th, 2020. At this point, we are, as you know, still awaiting the results of the presidential election that took place ostensibly on Tuesday, November 3rd. And we'll continue to wait for those returns to come in. I know that this is a great time of uncertainty for many. But our business owners and nonprofit managers and employees are no strangers to uncertainty during these times that we're in right now. So let's talk. Let's have a conversation. And let's hear from some of our experts about how we can support each other as we move forward. We have, of course, Kara and Meredith from our Economic Development Division. We'll have a few updates for you, and then we'll dive into a Q&A. You see, as I do, of course, Dr. Swani Jett, our Health Commissioner. And also, I do want to make a very special welcome back to Caitlin Starr from the Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Community Relations, who's back from maternity leave, and we're just excited to have you. So I think Meredith, you're going to take it away, yeah?
Good morning. Thank you, Raul. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jett, who is here to give an update on the new COVID testing site that opened in Brookline this week. I think businesses, there have been questions about if businesses will have access to this resource.
Good morning, everyone. So I'll be real quick. We have partnered with Empathy, and they're providing testing to Brookline community. We had a soft opening last week. The testing hours now are Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Wednesdays and Fridays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can make appointments online. You can go to Brookline COVID website. Also, they have a phone number you can call, and I don't have the phone number with me, but I make sure it's posted on the website. Testing site is for symptomatic patients, mainly insurance with bill. You can get tested if you're asymptomatic, but it will cost $140. So that's a quick thing. Don't know if you can be reimbursed by your insurance company if you're asymptomatic, but we're still working on that piece. We have opened it up to residents of the town, employees of the town, but we're still trying to understand if, and I'm waiting for approval from the select board, if it could open up to business. But I'm sure if you're already a resident of Brookline, that's not a particular issue. One of the difficulties of just opening up a site in Brookline and allowing people from other places to come to Brookline and get tested is the contact tracing piece, which can be very difficult. And the health department, if you live in another town, we don't have local jurisdiction, which means if you get tested in Brookline, your test results don't come to us. It actually goes to the town where you live at, and it's in Maven, and they would do the contact tracing, which in essence is very difficult for the business owner to know if somebody tests positive or not, unless the individual allows us to have the information or the business owner. And so that's some of the logistics that has to be worked out. On the school and the town side, the HR departments pretty much handle that, because the health department, that would be a lot for us to handle for employees out of town. So that's all I have. I can entertain any questions.
David,
let me just start here. Sorry, Meredith. Two questions. One, do you know what the turnaround time is on getting results from when you take the test?
It's 24 hours.
Okay. And I know we had discussed this before. For folks who are uninsured, certainly this doesn't seem like an option for them. Is this an option for them? And if not, what options do uninsured folks have to get tested somewhere?
So right now, the state has 19 sites where it's free and people can go to around the state. Those sites are set up primarily for, they were what I would deem hot spots, which Brookline doesn't want to be a hot spot. That's where COVID cases that community is in a red, and they're trying to reduce the outbreak. So there's 19 sites. I think the closest site right now is Chelsea.
Thank you. Sorry, Meredith, go ahead.
I think David had a question, David Lashinsky.
Yeah, Dr. Jett, I know that still air is definitely a problem, and I think everyone's concerned that as we move into winter and people are starting to do more of their activities indoors, they're going to be in places in which the air does not move as quickly or is exchanged with the outside air as often. I've been seeing a couple of things out in the marketplace right now to help mitigate that. One is a proliferation of, or the increase the number of HEPA filters that are around at a more reasonable price. And I know this stuff goes through HEPA filters, but at least it tends to circulate within the, helps circulate the air, which might be a good thing. And the second, of course, is some of the UV air treatments, which are above the sight line so people don't get accidentally exposed to UV. Have you been following or been aware of any other developments in this area that could guide us in what we should purchase? We
Well,
want
I
to
know
keep safe and our customers safe.
Yeah, I know the HEPA filters is something that I did approve for the school system. They were looking at, air exchange 5 times per hour. UV is something that I have looked at in the past. I can't tell you the efficiency of the UV. I did some research on a few companies in the past, and what I can tell you is a lot of research is lacking in terms of the cure rate of pathogens. And so even though they publish a lot of information saying, our product would kill pathogens in the air, et cetera, when I go and try to find the data to support it, I'm not finding data on it. Even one website, and I think it was a company that approached the town, I actually did some research and requested the data. And I actually found data on the particular product, and it was dated 2008. So, that was SARS-1 before that and H1N1 after that, but I haven't seen a product used for a particular epidemic. And so I'll be very skeptical on any products coming out now, unless they can show that it was patented, approved, and you can actually see with the product where it was approved, if they actually had the description of what it was approved for.
Sure.
And that patent. And if it doesn't have that and show the scientific research behind it, I probably wouldn't support it or use it myself.
Great.
So, Dave, you bring up an interesting thing. So, right now, you are correct that we are starting to move toward another phase of COVID. Between now and Christmas time would be the darkest phase that we're probably going to experience with COVID. I have seen just in the last 2 weeks a shift. Actually, 3 weeks, I was given a briefing, and we were averaging 56,000 cases per day in the US. We are now averaging 100,000 cases per day of COVID in a matter of 2 weeks. In Brookline, I was averaging 1 or 2 cases per day. We have made a shift now, and we're averaging at least 4 to 5 cases per day. And so parts of my environmental department, I'm gonna have to shift in order to do contact tracing and epi investigations. Because right now we don't have the bandwidth to continue to do both. So I can see a definite increase now. Weather is cold, people are gonna move inside. People will have to reduce the amount of people in a business in order to maintain and for everybody not to be sick. People have to limit social gatherings, and you will slowly see this roll back over the next 3 weeks to a month. Right now, I think the governor has just put a Band-Aid on a larger issue that we're about to face. And so I think people need to brace for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have questions for Dr. Jett? And if there are any attendees who'd like to answer a question, you can use the Q&A feature. All right, I'm not seeing any. Thank you so much, Dr. Jett, for taking the time. I know you're super busy and you've been very generous with your time at our virtual town hall, so we really appreciate it. Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so update on outdoor seating. So at our last meeting, we presented our the recommendation for extending outdoor seating to the virtual town hall, got some really great helpful feedback, had some very helpful conversations after that initial presentation. So the proposal was modified. I think one of the big issues was people were very concerned about not having any propane heaters or heaters to help support the outdoor seating areas as we extend it in the colder weather months. So the fire department is now doing a pilot program to allow the propane patio heaters to get us through the end of the season. So we are in the midst of that pilot program. Outdoor seating has been extended to December 7th, and electric heaters are also permitted, just with you know, certain restrictions and safety considerations. So thank you to everyone who provided feedback after that initial presentation during that virtual town hall, because it was super helpful. You're probably aware, we sent out a news blast. I think this was a couple weeks ago. The state announced that the Massachusetts Growth Capital Corporation, which did have a small grant program early on during COVID, announced another grant program, and they kind of stitched together different funding sources, some money from the Federal Community Development Block Grant Program, which is where our small business relief grant funding also came from. And then there was also some state funding mixed in there. So I'm going to pop a link into the chat box just in case that wasn't on your radar. I think there's going to be a ton of interest in this, and we've been told that the MGCC is not responding to any questions, and their phone line says we will not be returning your phone call. But we do have a link to the the Center for Women in Enterprise did an info session about how you go about applying for the grant. So we have a recording and a link to that, which we can, I'm going to put my email in, I can forward you a link to that and the PowerPoint presentation, which I listened to and I thought was helpful because it is kind of complicated. Especially since there are two different funding sources and there are kind of two different paths you could take to apply. So we will include that info. Applications, the deadline's coming up. It's at noon on November 12th, as opposed to their first round of grant funding with the MGCC, which was first come, first serve. I think they had to close their applications in like 12 hours or something crazy because of the level of demand. They're trying to be a little bit more strategic about how these grants are given. So, you have time to get your application right. The deadline is at November 12th at noon, and it will receive, equal consideration, even if you're taking your time and submitting it closer to the deadline. Another reminder, David, kind of related to David's questions, just thinking about as we move through the next several months and are still living with COVID, as a reminder, we do have the facade loan program resource. We did receive an inquiry from a restaurant who is considering putting in folding windows so that come springtime or when the weather is nicer on like a day like today, they can open up their the facade and have just sort of an area or environment, which I think people will probably really appreciate and maybe even expect going forward. So that is an eligible expense with the facade loan program. It's a 0% loan of up to $10,000. And if you have questions or just want to kind of walk through some ideas you might have, we would be happy to meet with you. So keep an eye on the chat box for my email and some other links related to that. And those are all of the updates that I have. I'll turn it over to Kara for more updates.
Good morning, everybody. I think everybody here knows that earlier this week, Governor Baker announced a set of orders and advisories, which will take effect tomorrow. So there's a stay-at-home advisory for everybody to stay inside between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. There's some exceptions to that, and that you should wear face coverings in the public, no matter how far away you are from other people. So there's some stricter guidelines out about that. And of course, these interventions are intended to disrupt the increased trend of positive cases, allow the Commonwealth to keep the economy and schools open the best we can, and prevent a need to roll back to phase 1 or phase 2 of the reopening plan. For those of you that were on the call earlier, you probably picked up Dr. Jett's comments about, we might see further rollback in the coming weeks. And certainly the governor, you'll see in the Globe today, is getting pressure to do so. But as of right now, businesses and restaurants are still, fully open. But there is a 9:30 for cutoff for serving alcohol, and for takeout food, you're supposed to be home by 10 p.m. We are interested. As I think most people here know, Meredith and I are part of a weekly call with the Secretary, Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development, where we can ask, we and other communities and other chambers throughout the region have a discussion and are able to ask questions directly to the Secretary, as well as usually the Secretary of Labor dealing with unemployment issues. So if there's anybody that has suggestions or questions about the governor's recent announcement or concerns about moving forward, we wanted to take a couple minutes and hear from you now so that we can relay those questions or concerns later this week, tomorrow. Meredith, do you see any hands raised? I don't.
I'm not seeing any hands raised.
Okay. We can come back to that. If people have questions they'd like to ask, of course, you could always email us, or you could put it in the Q&A or chat box. Earlier this week, EDAB, which is the Economic Development Advisory Board, did vote to make a recommendation to the Select Board regarding licensing fee reductions. They ended up voting that those fees be cut in half. Not just for liquor licenses for restaurants, but all fees related to restaurants, including restaurants that don't serve alcohol, or what we call food vendors, which are restaurants that usually don't have seats, so kind of across the board, as well as annual licensing fees for innkeepers and lodging houses, which are basically hotels. So that was the Economic Development Board's recommendation. We believe that the Select Board may be taking up that request this coming Tuesday. So stay tuned. Usually that agenda comes out, late tomorrow afternoon. And anybody that would like to participate in Tuesday's meeting would want to pay attention to that and let Devin know. And there will be instructions on the agenda of how to participate. The Chamber of Commerce here in Brookline also asked the Select Board to consider that to get the legislature going on coming through with a delivery fee cap. This is a discussion point that many of you were part of with us earlier this summer, and the Select Board did write a letter recommending action earlier this summer with the legislature. As we understand it, it's still in conference committee at the State House, and there are just many people that are trying to shake that loose and get something going. And once we get any updates on that, we would post it through our business newsflash notification, and Meredith will put a link in the box here about how to make sure you're signed up for that. I also have a small update and I would love to hear what you guys think about this, especially our retailers, even though it's a program for restaurants. So the Mass Restaurant Association did something I think very creative. They teamed up with a company that makes an app for your phone called Seated, SEATED. And for the month of November, the partnership is what it results in is that restaurants for the month of November for free can have their restaurant and menu listed on this app called Seated, and any customer, as long as they are a member of the Mass Restaurant Association, that's the caveat. And then from the customer's point of view, anybody that shows the receipt of participating restaurants and uploads it to the Seated app will, if it's a full service meal, so not takeout, but full service meals at the restaurant, if it's Monday through Wednesday, they will get a 50% effective rebate. It's not just straight cash back to the customer. What it does is it gives you rebate through dollars to spend at other businesses that are advertised on their app. And so, David Lashinsky, I'd especially like to see you play around with this app and see what you think. We have asked, when I tried it out for myself, I did not see any options to basically just get cash back. Some of their advertising shows that you could do like a Visa card or something like that. I do have a concern. If it works for restaurants, great, send it out to your customers. But I have hesitancy of sharing that more broadly through us, because it seems like right now the way that the customers get the 50% rebate is for to spend at national chain companies like Target, Starbucks, that kind of thing. And so I just didn't feel comfortable forwarding that promotion broadly at this point until we got some more of those questions answered. And we did ask Seated also how other independent businesses could sign up to be part of that program if they were interested. So I just wanted to share kind of our thinking behind that, and would be interested if others have thoughts on that or have looked at that app or promotion.
I'd love to take a look at it. I know whenever you start talking about discounts, certainly that are in that steep, there's a very real cost of goods sold for everything that's sold, and the margins that most businesses operate under would make it very difficult. In fact, you just lose money every time you honor that coupon. And so the question I have is, happy to honor the coupon, how are the other retailers now getting reimbursed or compensated for that? I think it certainly is an interesting thing. I'll be happy to look at it.
That would be great, David. We did confirm that for the month of November, it does not cost the restaurants anything. So even though there's a 50% rebate, it's coming out of this like startup fund basically from the app. But on the retailer side, it's not clear what cut there is of, now that they're spending, the customer is spending their 50%, say at your store, is there a cut, which I would imagine there would be. And that's, that would be great, David, if you could also help me look into that.
I did, by the way, Kara have a question about the delivery, cap on delivery fees. I know with Uber Eats and a few of the others, their calculus is that they take a third approximately of whatever the actual price is that then goes to the delivery service. But if you're talking about a straight cap on a delivery fee, what if you're having, somebody say, okay, they're going to pick up the item and then deliver it, and there's simply a fee attached to that, much like you hire a cab to do it, So when you're talking about a legislation around a cap or restriction, how is that being formulated? I guess is like, is that related to?
Yeah, I don't know if I don't believe that there is any legislation requiring a cap on a flat amount. And I believe, but I can forward you the legislation, that they've taken a more similar approach in the organization of the language as New York has, which is a two-tiered system. There's, a cap for the delivery fee portion, and then the cap for basically the marketing promotion part of it. So I can send you that. I think there's two still versions at the state house, but we can send that to you so that you can take a look at that yourself.
Okay, thanks.
The last thing I wanted to share with you guys, relates to an earlier conversation that we had with Dr. Jett about the UV light. At least 2 businesses here at a previous meeting, showed interest in that. We did a little bit of research, and just yesterday, there is a company in Kansas City that seems to have better data for showing that it could be effective against viruses. And the technical backup for that is fairly recent. However, it's not, for the COVID virus. It's, there's language in there about how they tested it using viruses that are genetically similar to COVID. And so that's where, I really need someone that knows how to look at that kind of analysis, like Dr. Jett, to opine on it. But I did want to just quickly share with you a photo of that, just so you can, again, kind of see our thoughts and progress. Let me see if I can share. Okay, I've joined this morning by web, and this is not working through this. I will put a link to a photo of the device, but it is it's a mobile system that has kind of 2 wands, and talking with the manufacturer's name is SARM, SARIN, and they have different products, from handheld wands that take a long time. You would need to like stand over every surface for 10 to 15 seconds. In our conversation, it seemed like the best application for retailers, which they've seen daycares use as well as larger businesses, is something that plugs into your wall. It's like on a mobile cart. It has 2 wands. And it takes about an hour to treat like a 1,500 to 2,000 square foot retail space, for example. And the cost of that is $5,000. So I will put a link in our chat box in just a second so you can get an idea of a photo of it. And at least you have a sense of cost. And the next step, again, is for me to understand from Dr. Jett not only whether it's effective, but also whether it's harmful. We want to make sure that he feels comfortable with any side effects before we fully promote that or try to find funding to help that with the business community. Okay, Meredith, that's it. Back to you.
And before we go to Q&A, I spaced on my outdoor seating update. I had also meant to share with you that we launched the temporary loan program for outdoor seating materials. So we have the canopies went pretty quickly. We have 1 canopy and 1 canopy wall left. We also have several sidewalk ramps to ensure ADA accessibility. And we have ordered tables and chairs, but like everyone else, they're on back order. So once those become available, we've asked people to put in their requests so we can reach out to them once we have those for loan. But if you have any questions, I'll pop my email in the chat box again.
One quick question, Meredith, about that is, I know I've spoken to many of my the fellow businesses in Coolidge Corner, and everybody's concerned that they're going to have lines outside their storage during inclement weather, which if it's raining, no one's going to wait. And if there's nobody inside, once the few people leave, then everyone's hosed. So we're thinking of creative ways to first try and promote moving business and shopping up, which will be great, kind of flatten the curve, so to speak. But in addition to that, think about a creative use of either tentings or awnings or some sort of covering that can be put up temporarily to keep people at least more comfortable, during those times. So would this program also be available to retail on the tenting material?
Yes, tenting material would definitely be available to retail businesses. We only have one canopy left, unfortunately. I think the issue we're going to run into is the outdoor seating coming off the streets on December 7th. DPW felt very strongly that it wouldn't be safe to have canopies and tables, chairs out in parking spaces and on the sidewalk, just because of weather concerns. We'd have to talk to them about, I'm sure there would be similar concerns with having some sort of a canopy on the public way in front of our other businesses. But this is certainly a conversation we can circle back and explore options with them.
Okay.
And I know that we had discussed trying to develop like a locker system. I know there's another community that has implemented that, and we had a discussion about that. I think feasibility wise, we still have to figure some things out, but if you have ideas about what you think you're going to need over the next several months, we're happy to explore those and work through that.
Thanks.
Sure. Does anybody else have any questions? I'm not seeing anything. The Q&A box has not gotten any attention today. So feel free to tee up your questions in the Q&A box or raise your hand. We've now entered the Q&A discussion portion of our meeting. So
I'll ask a question in the meantime. Actually, I see Debbie has a question, but I was going to ask Debbie a question, which is, it seems to me that these next few months are very critical for small businesses in Brookline, for retailers, the holiday season in particular, for restaurants. Remember sort of back when we were in April and May and elsewhere, really focusing in on takeout as a primary option. I guess my question for you is, are we doing enough right now to get the message out to Brookline residents to buy local, to eat local, to shop local, especially during this time, and what's coming up? What messaging does the chamber have that's coming out there, and how can we help support it?
Wow, I really appreciate that question, Raul. So we've been grappling with that a lot. I think I, for one, appreciate so much what everybody has been doing in the town to try to make sure that businesses are supported. I think just right now is an example of that. We have a couple of initiatives that would be great if we could try to get a groundswell of enthusiasm. But the most recent one is Love Brookline Restaurants. It's a hashtag. And we've been posting on Facebook. And the idea is that when you do get takeout, to please take a photo and share it and give some recognition to that particular restaurant or food establishment. And if you don't have the time or the ability on a given day to get takeout, that's okay. Just make a comment, share the hashtag with other people, let people know that you're supporting Brookline restaurants. That's important. And another initiative that we've had in collaboration with the CCMA and the town and so forth has been Shop Brookline. It's another hashtag. And again, if you go into Eureka and you buy a puzzle for your son or daughter or neighbor, and that kid really appreciates it. I, for one, know of a kid who gets up in the morning and the first thing he does is put together his puzzle because he loves this puzzle. Take a picture of it, share it with other people, let people know that, this is something fun as a giver as well as someone who's going to be receiving it too. Because I think we can have a lot of fun with it, as well as trying to give some business to our local establishments, which is really, really critical right now.
Great, thanks. It looked like you had something to say. Was that it or something else, Debbie?
That was it.
Oh,
also,
great.
actually, I'll add real quick too that First Light is coming up. So this year it's going to be First Light at your fingertips. It's going to be all online. It's going to be virtual. It's going to be from December 3rd. It's always the Thursday after Thanksgiving, but this year, instead of just being for 2 hours, it's going to be for an entire week. So that's another initiative that we would love you to help us spread the word about, so that there'll be lots of eyes on the businesses that have signed up. And there's going to be a lot of fun stuff, like, for example, behind the scenes at Serenade Chocolatier, or live music yeah. So, oh, and Kathy, thank you, Kathy. Big is playing a big role in it this year. We're really fortunate to be collaborating with them. In fact, we're even going to have a trailer for First Light this year, thanks to Big. And that's in the works right now. You'll see it very soon. I think it's going to be fun. It's a little unusual, but cross our fingers. I think it'll be fun.
Can I add something really quick, Debbie? I'm really excited. I took a couple days off to go do some get out the vote work, and I came back and so much progress had been made. It was awesome to see. And it sounds like we still have 4 opportunities for 4 businesses to make a little video of their own. Can you describe how they're going to participate on the night of First Light with those videos?
Sure, yeah. So each business is going to take a very short video of something special pertaining to their business, or just entertainment, depending on what they want to do. For example, Olive Connection is going to have an olive tasting. Maury's going to show people how an expert would taste olive oil, so that someone like me with no knowledge of olive oil would understand what that entails. And so what's going to happen is he's going to have this little video on his website. And the link to his website is going to be on the chamber the chamber website. So guests, instead of going from business to business this year, will just go to the Brookline Chamber of Commerce website, where there will be a page just devoted to First Light. And they will have a little map, as well as an alphabetically listed list of businesses that are participating. And at their leisure, they can visit different businesses and be entertained.
So if your business is interested, please contact info@brooklineinteractive.org, and I'll put it in the chat as well. And we can help you create that very short video, or give you some equipment so that you can set it up even at your own business.
Awesome.
Can I jump in here too at the moment? So we've been having a number of meetings with the other retailers as well to talk about what to do. And it's definitely moving into a very critical time. One of the things we're working on is putting together a poster to talk about what the businesses are all doing right now. So in addition to having a safer environment and offering support for online shopping, support for in-person shopping, for telephone consultations, for pickup, I don't think we can all say delivery at the moment, but certainly pickup, curbside pickup. So to try and let people know that the retail shops are alive and well and are working with people however they want to come and shop, please come and shop. So as that comes closer to fruition, I'm going to be sending around, and would certainly love a shout out from both the town and Debbie, the chamber will get that as well. And it's something that can easily be extended to the entire, all of Brookline businesses.
David, please send that to us as well, so we can put it on the cable channels.
That'd be great. Happy to do it.
Spread the word. Great.
We also have a question for Debbie from Wendy Mockmuller, and she wanted to know where she could find a First Light flyer promotional material that she can share with the neighborhood listservs.
Oh, great. I will send something to her. We've been putting it in our newsletters, but I can definitely send that to her. Wendy, I'll send it to you. Thank you.
Great. All right.
Meredith, I have one last announcement just before we meet again in December, which is crazy to say that we're going to be in December, but before we meet in December, we will be somehow distributing all of this Small Business Saturday paraphernalia that we get every year. So that's on its way to Town Hall, and when we get that, we can distribute it, but just wanted to quickly announce that here if anybody is interested. And usually there's, banners, posters, giveaway bags for your customers. If you're interested in participating in receiving some of those materials, please email me and I'll put my email in the chat box. Thanks.
And that's the Saturday immediately following Thanksgiving, right?
Yes. All right, and Kathy I'm going to repost something from Kathy. So here's the contact info if you want to participate in your First Light promotion on Big. There we go. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions, so I will turn it back to Raul to close things up.
All right, thank you, Meredith. Thanks, Kara. Thanks for everybody today. You know, it's clear to me that we are back, or just about back now where we were many months ago. We're back in a place where we need to do everything we can to support our small businesses and nonprofits. We're also back in a place where the need continues to grow. The need at the food pantry, I know, continues to be very high, and the need through the safety net fund from the Brookline Community Foundation and the Brookline Center continues to be very high. Mutual Aid Brookline is providing a lot of direct support to folks. Do what you can with what you can. I know that these are tough times for many of us, but do what you can with what you can. When you have the option to think local, whether it be about how you use your dollars to prepare for something like Thanksgiving or other holidays, or you know, whether it is using your giving dollars, you know, think local as much as you can, because there are folks right here that need your support. And you know, I take to heart Dr. Jett's comments about the days ahead. And that we may be entering a really difficult time. It's already been a difficult time, but a particularly difficult time coming up. So just keep your eyes and your minds on one another, especially here and others outside of Brookline too, of course. But just wanted to make sure to note that I am excited about the First Light Festival that's coming up. That's actually December 3rd is going to be our next virtual town hall meeting. So we'll be back then. Of course, you know that you can reach us in between these meetings, so feel free to do that. And then also a reminder, the Small Business Development Committee is looking for new committee members. Small business owners, commercial property owners, experts in public art programming and small business assistants, and individuals who are simply passionate about supporting businesses owned by women and people of color are also encouraged to apply. Meredith is going to add some links and contact info in the chat. I see it there. Please reach out to us, particularly if you're interested in joining the Small Business Development Committee. You know, we are looking for new members, and we'll be excited to bring some more folks on to complement the already phenomenal roster of people that are involved, including many that you see on this call today. So there's that info coming in there. Please do be in touch. And if you need anything, reach out to us. We'll be here as long as you need us to be, and we'll certainly be back on December 3rd to talk to you some more. All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care.